welcome to our classes. I'll be covering the Indian art and culture syllabus of your APFC EOAO examination. And till now, we have covered the art and culture portions of Indus Valley civilization and Mauryan, post-Mauryan, Guptas, and also we are covering the temple architecture of India. So, to continue with the temple architecture of India, we will see today the Cholas and the Vesara style of architecture in this lesson. So about me, I have 6 years of teaching experience online and offline and pursuing my PhD, completing my MPA, UPSC CSE Interview and qualified for UGC NET with 6 years experience in the government sector. So yesterday we ended up with the Pallava group of monuments and today we will see about the Cholas. The best example of Chola temple architecture is the Brihadishwara temple at Tanjavur. If you see in the image here, this is the Brihadishwara temple at Tanjavur, Tamil Nadu. This temple is also known as Rajarajeshwara temple as it was built by Rajaraja Chola around 1009 and is the largest and the tallest of all the Indian temples. The temple's pyramidal multi-storied Vimana, if you can see here, it's very, very tall. So this is a massive 70 meters. It was topped by a monolithic shikara and the Kalasha on top by itself is about 3 meters and 8 centimeters in height. The main deity of this Brihadishwara or Rajarajeshwara temple is Shiva, who is shown as a huge lingam set in a two-storied sanctum. So the sanctum itself is two-storied. If you can see in the image here. Painted murals and sculptures decorate the walls surrounding the sanctum of this temple. So very, very grandeur temple and perfect example of Dravidian style of temple architecture. Next here we will see the Vesara or the Deccan temple architecture. So the buildings in the Deccan region are hybridized style which contains both the elements from Nagara and Dravidian architectural styles. It is known in some ancient texts as the Vesara style. Not all the types of temples in the Deccan are Vesara type. This Vesara style became popular after the mid 7th century. So in the image, you can see the Nagara type of temple, a Dravidian temple and a Vesara temple. So the Dravida and Nagara style as some features which you can see here, the Amalaka, the Mundi, Shikara, Garbhagriha, Mandapas, Plinth, Capstone, Vimana, Mandapas, Garbhagriha, etc. So they are taking the very, very good features of this Nagara and Dravida and they culminated into the Vesara style of architecture. So the contribution of different dynasties in this Vesara style of architecture should be studied from the examination point of view. So let's see the first contribution from this kingdom, that is Chalukyas. They they ruled over Karnataka, Andhra region of today. So there are certain contributions from this kingdom to the art and architecture field. So let's read some of the important ones. So the one here you are seeing is the Ravanapadi cave. It is at Aihole in Karnataka. It is an example of early Chalukyan style which is known for its distinct sculptural style. If you can see in the image too, you have this very beautifully sculpted images in the cave. One of the most important sculptures at the site is of Nataraja. He is surrounded by a large depiction of Saptamatrikas, 3 to the left and 4 to his right. So this is the first example or the early example of Chalukyan style of sculptures which is seen in Aihole of Karnataka known as the Ravana Padi cave. Next very good example of Chalukyan architecture is this Lard Khan temple at Aihole, Karnataka. The temple is dedicated to Lord Shiva and is one of the oldest Hindu temples. It was built in the 5th century by the kings of the Chalukyan dynasty. It seems to be inspired by the wooden roof temples of the hills, except that it is constructed out of stone. So you might be imagining this is a Hindu temple dedicated to Lord Shiva, and it was patterned by the Chalukyan dynasty who are also Hindus. Then how come the Muslim name of Lard Khan? The temple is named after a person named Lard Khan who turned this temple into his residence for a very short period. Durga Temple at Aihole. This temple is built between 7th and 8th century. The architecture of the temple is predominantly Dravida with a Nagara style also in certain areas. The temple is considered as a unique and magnificent temple of the Chalukyan period. The Lard Khan temple of Aihole is located to its south. If you can see this temple outside, look at the curvature of the temple, and they say the curvature of the Parliament of India has been taken from this temple of Aihole. Moving on, next example is the temples at Pattadakal of Karnataka. So there are 10 temple complex at Pattadakal in Karnataka, which includes a Jain temple and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It has a fusion of various architectural styles seen here. Out of the 10 temples, 4 are in Dravida style, 4 in the Nagara style, and 1 is a Jain temple. While the Papanatha temple of this Pattadakal is a fusion of both Nagara and Dravidan styles. Jain temple or Jaina Narayana temple, which is in Pattadakal, was built by Rashtrakutas in the 9th century. The Virupaksha temple at Pattadakal is also known as Sri Lokeshwara Mahasila Prasad. It was built by Chalukyan king Vikramaditya II, who ruled between 733 to 44. His wife, that is Lokamaha Devi. So why did she build? The Virupaksha temple at Pattadakal was built around 740 Common Era to commemorate the victory of Lokamahadevi husband, that is Vikramaditya II, a Chalukyan ruler, over the Pallavas of Kanchipuram. So this temple closely resembles the Kailashnath temple at Kanchipuram on plan and elevation. It represents a fully developed and perfect stage of the Dravida architecture. The next we are going to study is about the contributions of Rashtrakutas. So this Rashtrakutas by about 750 CE, the early Western Chalukyan control of the Deccan was taken by this Rashtrakutas. The greatest achievement in architecture is the Kailashnath temple, which we have discussed in detail at Ellora. In the previous video, you can check out. I have given you a description about this Kailashnath temple at Ellora. The Jain temple at Pattadkal was also built by these Rashtrakutas. So this is a Kailashnath temple at Ellora. We have discussed a lot about this Kailashnath, so I skipped describing more about this Kailashnath temple in this video. So the next important kingdom which gave a contribution to this Dravida style or the Vesara style of architecture is this Hoysalas. With the waning Chola and Pandya power, the Hoysalas of Karnataka grew into prominence in South India, and they became the most important patrons centered at Mysore. The three main temples of Hoysalas are the temples at Belur, Halebeedu and Somanathapuram. The most characteristic feature of these temples is that they grow extremely complex with so many projecting angles emerging from the previously straightforward square temple, so that the plan of these temples starts looking like a star. As the plan looks like a star, it is known as stellate plan. They are usually made out of soapstone. So as you can see here, so they have a star like plan on the platform you can see out there, and this is called the stellar pattern or the stellate pattern. And it looks very complicated because there is a saying which goes like, not a single stone in Belur, Halebedu and Somnathpuram has been untouched by an artist. So such is the intricate carvings and designs on the rocks and stones of these places. So mostly the temples were made out of soapstone. Let's see about the temples at Alebeedu of Karnataka. Please have a look at the image here. How beautifully they have carved the sculptures on the temple walls. So let's see the Oisaleshwara temple, which is built in darkest stone by the Hoysala king Vishnuvardhana in 1150. The temple is dedicated to Shiva as Nataraja and contains a large hall for the mandapa to facilitate music and dance. Please remember, King Vishnuvardhana of Hoysala dynasty had a dancer wife known as Shantala Devi. In the bottom frieze of the temple features a continuous procession of hundreds of elephants with their mahots. No two elephants are in the same position. The next important style of architecture we have to study is the Vijayanagara style of architecture. So please have a look at this Vijayanagara style of architecture once. Please have, so that we will have a clear idea of why we are seeing this Vijayanagara style of art and architecture. If you see this Halebeedu temples or the Hoysala temples, and what is the difference with the Vijayanagara style of architecture is different. You can see the temple itself. So the Vijayanagara temples, throughout its reign, the Vijayanagara Empire constructed numerous temples. Granite was the primary material employed by the empire, while soapstone was the material used by Hoysalas. They used granite here and also used soapstone for the reliefs and sculptures that adorned the temples. The Hoysala, Chola, and Chalukyan empires, as well as other earlier empires, provided the architectural inspiration for the Vijayanagara Empire. They combined these aspects to produce its own distinctive architectural compositions. They adopted the Dravidian architectural style and then added certain distinctive elements, giving it the name Vijayanagara. Local firm granite was the preferred building material because of its durability, much as it had been for the Badami Chalukyas. Strong fences surrounded the Vijayanagara temples, which are distinguished by elaborately pillared Kalyana Mandapa or the marriage halls, tall Raya Gopurams, carved colossal towers at the entrance of the temple, and life-size statues of gods and goddesses. During Krishnadevaraya's rule, the Dravida style gained popularity, and during the following 2 centuries, many South Indian temples were built in this style. Mortar combined with other materials is typically used in Vijayanagara's courtly architecture. So typically they are constructed of mortar and stone shards. Vijayanagara's courtly architecture frequently features the secular designs with the Islamic inspired arches, domes, and also vaults. So let's have a look at the distinctive elements of Vijayanagara architecture. So the temples honoring numerous monarchs were built throughout the Vijayanagara Empire, and their entrances were adorned with gigantic gates known as the Raya Gopurams. These gates featured intricate carvings that significantly adorned their surface. Horses were the most popular theme for the carved pillars in open pavilions, with platforms supporting the monolithic statues like the Ganesh. Elaborately pillared Kalyana Mandapa or marriage halls was the addition, and this was a prelims question. The image of the god to whom the temple was dedicated was kept in the Garbhagriha, the most sacred room in the temple, which was situated in the heart of the structure. Amman shrines, which were shrines dedicated to the god's bride or the wives, were added in this Vijayanagara architecture. Let's see some of the architectural wonders of the Vijayanagara. The first one being the Queen's Bath. You can see it's like the Mohenjo-daro, you have the Great Bath, the same way you have here the Queen's Bath. A water pavilion, which was used for bathing, is a sizable square structure with a simple exterior and a multi-lobed arch doorway, but an elaborate open-air interior with pointed arches, plaster decorated domes, and vaults, and corridors with projecting balconies that surround an interior pool. Today, we call this structure as the Queen's Bath and was possibly used by the royal members as a personal bathing chamber or a cool relaxation area. The next important one is the Lotus Mahal. The two-story pavilion known today as the Lotus Mahal, which combines the aspects of Islamite architecture with those of temple architecture, that is the base, the roof, and some stucco ornamentation, likely served as an event space or a meeting area for the emperor and his advisors. It features multi-lobed recessed arches for its entrances, plastered ornamentation for the vaults and domes, and a stepped pyramidal roof with finials reminiscent of the temples. With the base, the multi-layered roof design and stucco ornamentation display an Indian temple style, the cusped arches, variously designed walls, and the decoration in the geometric and foliated motifs on the walls and ceilings indicate an Islamic character. Additional evidence of a thriving exchange between Turco-Persian and Indic cultures and a great desire to participate in the larger cosmopolitan culture beyond Vijayanagara's imperial borders. So the next important one is the elephant stables. They house the royally utilized ceremonial elephants are the most impressive of all court buildings in the city. The Vijayanagara army would need many more elephants that could fit in the stables, or 22 if two were housed inside. The open area in front might have been used as a parade ground. Royal platform. A large platform dominates the royal center. This multi-story stone theatre is surrounded by horizontal bands of low relief friezes that portray many aspects of courtly life, such as the march of war animals, hunting scenes, soldiers engaged in combat, ladies performing traditional dances with sticks, and musicians. So, this is the royal platform. The water tanks. Near the Mahanavami Dibba, a sizable water tank Pushkarani with a square shape is surrounded by a series of steps that descend to the lower level in a semi-pyramidical arrangement of black schist stone. Its design made it simple for individuals to enter and exit the water. The reservoir was apparently utilized by the royal members for ritual bathing and purification before prayers or for the immersion of metal deity incarnations during religious events. It was fed by the neighboring Tungabhadra river by an aqueduct system. So the important temple under Vijayanagara was the Virupaksha temple. It is the oldest Hindu shrine within the imperial complex that is still actively used for worship today. The Vijayanagara ruler's patron deity was Virupaksha, a manifestation of the Hindu god Shiva. Since many Hindu temples face the rising sun, pilgrims typically enter from the east side of the world temple complex's 160-foot tall entrance star that is called the Gopura. The marriage of Virupaksha and his spouse, the regional folk goddess Pampa Devi, after whom the settlement of Hampi gets its name, it's commemorated with annual ceremonies at the temple. So, Vitala temple, you all know about this chariot. The Vitala temple, which is devoted to a form of Vishnu, is the most impressive structure in the capital's sacred court. The complex, which includes the primary temple and many auxiliary shrines, dates to the 14th century. It is located inside a rectangular court. The open multi-pillared marriage hall Kalyana Mandapa, which is utilized for events involving the symbolic marriage of the temple's deity to his wife, is a significant and defining feature of the Vijayanagara art. The hall features external pillars with riders on rearing yalis, the mythical beasts, and elaborate brackets. It consists of an elevated platform surrounded by rows of large, artistically carved granite columns. Since the 15th century, yalis, which represent a hybrid of a horse and a human, have been a prominent motif in South Indian temples. The unique aspect of the temple is a stone chariot or a Garuda shrine, which is meant to resemble a wooden chariot used to transport metal representations of gods during religious festivals. Garuda is the Vishnu's animal mount or Vahana, and as is typical in temples, it stands facing the god who is revered there. In the inner sanctum of the temple, immovable deities are present. Thank you so much. We have learned about the Vijayanagara, right? We have learned about the contributions of Hoysala kingdom. We have learned about the contributions of Rashtrakutas and the Chalukyas of Badami and the Cholans' contributions. So thank you so much, and please like and subscribe to our channel and share the links of our videos with your fellow aspirants so that it keeps us motivated. Thank you.